heard the rest of that story, because there's a version of that story that almost never gets told. Someone who won steadily for years and quietly walked away rich. Have you ever actually met that person? Not someone who won once, someone who never lost it back. That absence should bother you more than it does. Betting companies are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Millions of people play every single day. And yet almost no community, anywhere across the entire history of gambling, has ever gotten rich from it as a group. Individuals win, crowds don't. That gap between individual stories and collective outcomes is where the real answer lives, and the real answer is far stranger than luck. Start with a number nobody looks at twice. Picture two teams. A bookmaker prices the match. One side to win, a draw, the other side to win. Convert each price into a probability the way traders do, by dividing 1 by the odds. Add the three numbers together. If the market were perfectly fair, they'd sum to exactly 100%. They never do. They land somewhere around 105, sometimes higher. That extra few percent has a name. Traders call it the overround. Everyone else calls it the vig. It sounds small, it sounds almost polite, like a service fee. But here's the part that gets skipped. The vig isn't the real story. The real story is who sets the price in the first place, and why. Every match has what statisticians call a true probability. The real, underlying chance each outcome happens, built from form, injuries, weather, momentum, and 1,000 variables no single person could track. A bookmaker's models get close to that number, genuinely close. Given enough matches, enough seasons, enough data, their estimate converges toward the truth, the same way a coin flipped 10,000 times converges toward 50-50. So why does the price you actually see rarely match that true number? Because the price isn't only built from probability, it's built from money, specifically from where the money is flowing. Inside every bookmaker's ledger, bettors split into two rough categories. One category bets on feeling, favorite team, gut instinct, a headline they read that morning. The industry has a blunt name for this money, dumb money. The other category is small, sharp, and dangerous to the house. These are bettors running models, tracking inefficiencies, finding the tiny gap between the true probability and the posted price. The industry calls this smart money, or sharps. A bookmaker's entire pricing strategy comes down to one goal: maximize the flow of dumb money, minimize the flow of sharp money, and if you knew, with certainty, which of your customers were sharp and which were guessing, wouldn't you do exactly the same thing? This produces a measurable, well-documented distortion. Economists Richard Thaler and William Ziemba studied it decades ago in horse racing markets and gave it a name: the favorite-longshot bias. Crowds systematically overvalue favorites and undervalue longshots. Not because favorites are overrated as teams, but because emotional money piles onto the popular name regardless of the actual odds of winning. Bookmakers know this, so they quietly shade the favorite's price a little lower than the true probability, and the underdog's price a little higher, harvesting the emotional overpayment from the crowd while still looking generous on paper. You're not just paying a small fee to play, you're paying a fee shaped precisely around your own psychology. Now stack another layer on top. Combination bets, the kind where you chain 4 or 5 matches into a single ticket for a giant payout. These get advertised more than any other bet type, and there's a mathematical reason why. VIG doesn't add up across legs of a parlay, it compounds. A single bet with a 5% house edge, chained across 4 legs, doesn't sit at 5% anymore. It can climb toward 15 or 20%. Hidden inside a payout number so large, it distracts you from doing the math. That's why bet small win huge advertisements live almost exclusively in the parlay section, never in the single match section. There's a third layer, one most casual bettors never even hear about. It's called closing line value, and professional bettors track it obsessively. It's the gap between the price you got when you placed your bet and the final price right before the match starts. If someone consistently beats the closing line, that's not luck. That's a signal the market didn't yet reflect, and bookmakers notice. Their response isn't a debate about fairness. It's operational. Quietly cap that account's maximum bet down to a few $100s, while casual bettors nearby are still allowed to stake thousands. Or close the account outright, citing a vague violation of terms. A bookmaker doesn't fear you winning once. A bookmaker fears a model that keeps winning. Think about it a different way. Imagine someone selling you a shirt. It's genuinely worth $5. they'll always sell it to you for more than 5. And if you try to sell it back, they'll only offer you less than 5. That gap between what they'll sell for and what they'll buy back for is called a spread, and it always sits in their favor, never yours. You can technically walk to a different seller, but something about wanting the shirt badly enough keeps you at the same counter. You can see the identical structure at a currency exchange booth in any airport. They'll buy your dollars below the market rate and sell you foreign currency above it. You don't lose money because the exchange rate moves against you later. You lose it instantly at the counter before any rate has even had the chance to change. Sports betting runs on the exact same mechanism. The only difference is what's being priced. Instead of currency, it's the probability of a ball crossing a line. So who decides that price? Not you. Never you. The bookmaker sets it before you've even opened the app. This becomes most visible during live in-play betting. The instant a goal is scored, the price shifts within seconds, faster than a human can process what just happened emotionally, let alone respond to it logically. The bookmaker has a live model recalculating odds in real time. You have a surge of adrenaline from watching the ball hit the net. That timing isn't accidental. It's engineered to strike exactly when your emotion is loudest and your judgment is quietest. There's a well-studied psychological reason this keeps working on people who are otherwise perfectly rational in every other part of their life. In 1975, psychologist Ellen Langer ran a now famous experiment. She had people buy lottery tickets, some assigned at random, others allowed to personally choose their own numbers. Later, she offered to buy the tickets back. People who'd picked their own numbers demanded far more money to sell, even though the odds hadn't changed at all. Langer called this the illusion of control. The feeling of having chosen something makes people believe they've influenced an outcome that was, in truth, pure probability the entire time. Every action you take while betting reinforces that same illusion. You research the teams, you compare the numbers, you pick the amount, the timing, the side. Every click is genuinely yours, but look again at what you're actually clicking on. Who built that number you were analyzing? Who decided how far the underdog's price should drift from the truth, knowing exactly how the crowd would react to it? Who recalculated the live odds the second emotion took over your thinking? You're making real decisions inside a structure someone else designed, priced, and tilted long before you open the app. There's a related effect researchers like Mark Griffiths have documented in gambling behavior generally, something called the near-miss effect. A result that almost wins feels meaningfully different from one that clearly loses, even though mathematically they're identical outcomes. A loss is a loss, but a near miss triggers something close to the same reward response as an actual win, which keeps people playing longer than a straightforward loss ever would. Betting products are frequently built, whether deliberately or through iteration and testing, to maximize exactly that near miss sensation. None of this requires anyone to be lying to you outright. It only requires a system that has studied human psychology more carefully than you've studied its odds. So here's the reframe worth sitting with. You think you're playing a game where you make the moves, but the board, the pieces, and the rules of movement were all built by the one player who gets to see the outcome before you do. You're not choosing freely among infinite options. You're choosing between the specific options they've already calculated will, over enough time, tilt in their favor no matter which one you pick. That feeling of being in control isn't fake exactly. It's just not what you think it is. It's the product. A system that wants you to keep playing can never let you feel controlled. It has to let you feel like the one controlling it. Because that feeling, and only that feeling, is what brings you back for the next bet and the one after that. The moment you feel most certain you're the one in charge is very often the exact moment you stopped being in charge at all. So go back to that friend who once bragged about a big win. Somewhere out there, a bookmaker's model already knew the odds of that win, priced it precisely, and had already collected enough from 1,000 other bets to make sure that single win changed nothing about who profits in the long run. Individuals win sometimes. That was never in question. The real question was always about the crowd, and the crowd, across every civilization, every century, every version of this game, has never once gotten rich from it together. Maybe that's the part worth remembering the next time someone shows you a screenshot of a win. Not that they're lying, just that the story stops exactly where the math gets uncomfortable.